All right, welcome to week 8 of the Coaches Show. I'm Adam Howe, your host, and alongside me again this week, Wildcat head coach Ryan Boyer. Coach, welcome yet again.
Thank you.
All right, this Coaches Show brought to you by State Farm Insurance, Susie Broderson, Shelter Insurance, Leanne Beeman, Community National Bank and Trust, J&D Pharmacy, Pitts Homes, and Tracy Spry and Associates CPA. So Wildcats looking at week 8. They are going to host the Skyline Tigers. Wildcats, of course, coming off a loss last week to Butler. They come into this one 5-2, 2-1 in the OHC. Skyline sitting at an unfamiliar 2-5. Normally, Skyline's a little bit up, maybe a little bit down this year.
Yeah.
I know a new coach, whole new regime over there. Well, I'm sure you'll get to that part. But before we do, we're going to recap week 7. Like we noted, Warsaw coming off of a loss over at Butler. That one 38-14 final. Wildcats and Butler actually have now identical records at 5-2 overall and then 2-1 in the conference. So Wildcats headed to Butler after what I thought were probably two of the most impressive games of their season. Wins over Hogan Prep and El Dorado in week 5 and week 6. And then after riding the high of those two wins, they go to Butler last Friday, and both the offense just seemingly a little deflated. And we see that happen fairly often in high school football, and the closer you get to the end of the season, kind of. So how do you motivate and encourage guys to find that extra gear here in that final third of the season, I guess?
Yeah, it's one that when we talked about this last third, it's guys, the news worn off in the new part of the season. We kind of made through that middle part where the lull is. Then these last 3 games for us, it's you got 2 on the road and 1 at home, and then you control your destiny. So with that, I think as a team we would all agree. We just did not put our best foot forward in the first quarter there. Waited a little bit too long to really get going and start clicking against a very good Butler team that they were coming off a loss from the week before with Buffalo, and they did a great job coming out, executing the game plan, and again by the time we really started going and clicking, it was too little too late, and kind of spotted them 24 there, and then tried to play catch up, and it just didn't happen. So for these guys, this week's a neat week, and I know we'll get into some senior night talk. But with it being the last regular season home game, with it being senior week, it's a good week to get back on track. And again, it's close enough now where again we're never overlooking this week, and it's a familiar opponent, but it's close enough that you can talk about more playoff implications of what that playoff picture looks like.
And we'll get to that part too. So looking back at that loss over at Butler last week, Butler received the first half kickoff. They come out, grind out a drive that ends at 8:43 on a 34-yard touchdown run by a quarterback. I believe his name's Lucas Davidson. The 2-point was good by running back Ben Patrick, and they took an early lead at 8-0. And then of course, that was all the scoring there was in the first quarter. But Wildcats still trying to find their footing while Butler kept grinding it out. 15-yard run by Patrick at the 9:56 mark, and a 2-point conversion by Mason Deal made it 16-0. And then, like you said, Wildcats fell behind in that first half, 24-0 at the 5:23 mark, I think it was, on a 4-yard touchdown run by Ben Patrick, a running back that we talked a lot about last week. Deal converted a 2-point conversion, and it was 24-0. Wildcats did get on the board late there in the first half, and that was after Wildcats probably put together, not just because they scored, but probably their best looking drive of the night. And then that one ended on an 11-yard touchdown pass by Tayton Boyer to Garrett Ferguson. Tayton, I think, went right, flushed back left, and a good job by the receivers. And when we talked about that too, your scramble rules. Yeah. But Garrett doing a good job of finding an opening back in the back corner of the end zone, and Tayton seeing him and connecting for that one. And 2-point conversion, no good, and that made the halftime score 24-6. And then we'll get to the second half. You don't want to talk about it much, but we have to. So Wildcats get the second half kickoff, and I think on the air I talked about watching for an onside kick, and so I think that was the only thing I called right on Friday night. But it was an onside kick, and the Butler Bears recovered that one. And you guys have to, I mean, I think we could see smoke coming out of your ears from across the field, probably.
Probably.
But Wildcats defense made that one right, because I think it was on the very first play of scrimmage for Butler that Wyatt James forced a fumble, and then Josh Harbath, the freshman, who's seen a lot of playing time here over the course of the year, he scooped it up and ran, it was 50-some yards for a touchdown there. So Wildcats got on, narrowed things down at 24-14, but that was as close as they got. I think Butler added one more there in the third, and then another one in the fourth, and the final was 38-14. So Wildcats absorbed their second loss of the season, still have Skyline on their schedule. That one's Friday night, and then what we anticipate will be a big game with Buffalo in week 9. And the race in the OHC, the Ozark Highlands Conference, it's a tight one with the Wildcats, Butler, and Buffalo all there. They're all knotted up at the top of the pack, and definitely not looking ahead. But can you clear that race up for us and kind of tell us how that process works as far as tiebreakers and stuff like that, with 3 teams deadlocked right there at the top?
Yeah, and it's one, with, again, like you said, everybody one loss. It'll come down. It's somebody's going to share, whether it be us and Butler or us and Buffalo. So that's why that week 9 it's crucial. And with Buffalo having an early season loss to El Dorado is where their one loss came from. So it's one of those. It's, again, we're not looking at all past Skyline. We're not looking past this week. But when you're talking week 9, again, going on the road and having playoff type atmosphere and things like that, it's going to be a neat situation, and it's something that we haven't had the opportunity to win outright or share on the football side of things since we've developed this conference.
Right. So looking at some stats from that Butler loss, pretty modest stats, I guess. When I was putting everything together, I think 186 total yards for the Wildcats. Tayton on the ground picked up 85 yards on 20 carries. That was a little over 4 yards a carry. Not too shabby, but that was essentially the only ground offense for the Wildcats. And then through the air, Tayton finished 8 for 12 for 78 yards, well below the team average, and did have the one touchdown to Garrett Ferguson. Now, the bright side of things, what I saw from last Friday night over at Butler was that the dispersal of the ball. So I think there was 6 different guys in on receptions. Nick Bagley had 3 for 20 yards. Gage Whitaker had 2 for 20 yards. I think Jace DePriest had 1, Garrett Ferguson had 1, Drake Merle had 1, Garrett, of course, with the touchdown there at the end of the first half. So team total of 186. I'm sure a number that Coach Danny Morrison would like to fix and try to, I guess, correct that this week, right? Special teams wise, we hate to talk about the punt units, but that means the Wildcats are not converting. So, but we will. Tayton Boyer had 2 punts for 82 total yards, so that's an average of about 41 yards per punt. So, still, he's got to be over 40 yards a punt, probably.
He's somewhere in there.
So
Yeah,
I'm sure not the number that he's looking for to be proud of. On the defensive side of the ball, Gage Whitaker, of course, the Wildcats had a lot of opportunity on defense. And Gage Whitaker finished with 8.5 tackles. Shane Poyser finished with 6, starting out there at the corner spot for the first week. Nate Banfield had 5.5 tackles. Nick Bagley had 5. Josh Harbath also had 5 tackles. He also had the fumble recovery with the touchdown. Then we mentioned Wyatt James earlier, who had the forced fumble. Anybody here on either side of the ball, I guess, that maybe stands out to you?
Yeah, it was, and like I said, it's kind of a different kind of game. It was a very short game with style of play. They came out and did, and then it's just a matter of everybody kind of staying in bounds. And a weird deal, maybe only time I've ever experienced, there was only 1 penalty on the whole night.
There was 2.
Was it 2?
We had one on the kickoff, opening kickoff.
Yes, okay.
And then we had a hold or a block in the back or a personal foul or something there in the second half.
Face mask in the second half.
Yeah.
And you're right, there's 2. And so as far as just a quick game, and
it took us longer to drive there and home than the game took.
Without a doubt. I think when we on the bus ride home, you kind of scrolling other scores, and games weren't over because it was just, again, this kind of style play it was. But there, there were things that the kids did do well that they stepped up, and there was guys that had filled in that hadn't seen a lot of playing time and stepped into some different roles. And so there's always positives to take away. And again, we were pleased with how, even though it was kind of bang bang coming out into the second half, we had the mistake, but then we got right back on the board and put ourselves in a position where at that point it was 24-14, and it's a whole new ball game, a whole new life. And so nobody likes to lose, but when you can learn things from it, it's always a good thing. One of my coaching friends always said, the L in the win-loss, the L stands for learning, or for a lesson. And so I think our kids, it was a good moment for us to refocus and really start finishing strong here.
Right. So I like the L stands for learning. So so Wildcats, we're going to move forward here to week 8 when we come back after this word.
Hi, I'm Luke Beeman with Reese Nichols Golden Key Realty. We're located north of Warsaw on Highway 65. We have 14 real estate agents with 275 combined real estate years of experience. Give us a call at 660-438-7228. Please visit us on our website, reeseandnichols.com.
And we're back here for week 8 of the Coaches Show. Wildcats looking forward to taking on the Skyline Tigers tonight at home. That is against, I guess I already said against the Skyline Tigers. What I wanted to mention was it is senior night. We're going to honor the class of 2023, and I believe that is football players and cheerleaders, probably usually band and all of them.
Band, cheer, dance, cross country, and football, and then volleyball will have theirs next week on Monday.
Right. So looking forward to that game. Week 7, Skyline takes a loss. They played at home against Springfield Central. They lose that one 31-6, so they fall to 2-5. That Springfield Central team, by the way, at 5-2. Looking at some film this week, what we can expect. What I looked for here on Skyline's offense was throwing the ball a lot, because that's what we're used to seeing. They do still run that spread shotgun type offense, usually one running back in the backfield, if any. So they like to spread that defense out. Am I on track here?
Oh yeah, kind of that West Coast RPO. Just try to get guys in space.
Right. And speaking of guys, number 11, the quarterback, looks to be like a pretty good athlete, quick, a good runner, especially off the fakes. And number 21, also a good player, a guy we're familiar with, and kind of a playmaker. The guy they like to get the ball into his hands. Wide receiver, we talk about passing a whole lot. But 3 runs a lot of motion. He's small, but he's quick. Can be slippery, can make you miss. Number 24, a big guy. I've seen him line up and a lot of blocking downfield, and does a good job when he gets on somebody. That's going to take a pretty aggressive corner or linebacker, I guess it could be, to get off of that block and not allow yourself. And then 25 also lines up out there, but not a whole lot of production from some of the film that I saw. I saw completed passes, but they will throw it.
Yeah.
And then on the offensive side of things, I didn't see a ton of size compared to other schools that Warsaw's faced this year in your Lafayette counties and stuff like that. Butler last week. But what I did see was a lot of wide splits, and you'll see that in a spread offense a lot. Those offensive linemen get wider splits than normal, I guess. So I'm sure something you guys know, and those defensive linemen have worked on that, because that defensive front probably you could expect to be challenged probably. So so like last week, the Wildcats face another offense that pretty much, we mentioned number 21, I believe it's Ricky Woodhouse. Wildcats going to face another offense that goes through pretty much that running back. So what kind of adjustments from last week, I guess leading into this week, does the defense make, and how do Patrick and Woodhouse maybe compare?
Yeah, well, I can tell you that they're both guys that doesn't break my heart to see them graduate. But no, they both, what we tell our kids is, even though size is a little different. However, first guy to it has to secure that tackle. And that's something that Friday night that we've done very well in the last few weeks leading up to it. That first guy secured, everybody else cleaned it up. Where arm tackle isn't going to bring them down. And like I said, they go through them. both teams do a great job of scheming and finding ways to get them the ball, and not just in the same look. They're both those guys you have to account for, and when you have to do that for players, then it does help open some of the others up. And as we watch film and and they were at our jamboree, you kind of see how in that new system how they're progressing, and they've gotten better each week and kind of figured some of those things out. And so, yeah, it's one that it's good to see each week. It's quality competition, and with it being Warsaw Skyline, we're obviously familiar opponents, and that's what I told the kids at the beginning of the week. So don't ever get wrapped up on any team's record. You guys are familiar with each other. You grew up playing each other. It's always a good game, big rivalry type deal. And so to that, I mean, it's going to be 4 quarters, and again, we know they're going to come in and play hard, and they have things to prove.
And they're coming in with the new regime. I believe the head coach now is Nick Griffin. Brandon Shelby retired after several years down there. So kind of working out some kinks, and I assume that they will get those kinks worked out, and that happens here towards the end of the season when we've talked in the past about teams who don't have anything to lose. So only something to prove. So you alluded to opening up guys outside and stuff like that. So in what few passes that I saw, at least from the Skyline quarterback, what I saw were some balls hung up, maybe some balls that he's trying to get too far outside. But the Wildcat defense, playing with some relatively young and or inexperienced guys in the secondary. So how's the Wildcats take advantage of that, and how do you coach those guys up who maybe are inexperienced or young?
Yeah, well, one thing we talked to the secondary was, hey, you're going to see a team that throws the ball. We haven't really seen that for a couple of weeks now. I think if you look at Butler and El Dorado, I mean, they may have combined for 6-7 passes, maybe. And so we kind of, we got back to our normal practice week with our secondary guys, and just, knowing your keys and reads. Team like this will give you what we call is a lot of window dressing. You get the motions and you get your crossing routes, and the big thing there is just, don't chase it out of your zone. Communicate it. Watch it with your eyes, but keep your body where you need to be. And so, with it, it's just repetition. I know a lot of times what people see on Friday night is a kid that, hey, he doesn't have a lot of Friday night experience, but the amount of reps they get during the week and the amount of reps they get leading up to that has them ready, or else we wouldn't have them out there unless we could trust them.
And that's what they play on Monday nights for, right? I mean, it's kind of like their tryout for Friday, and that's where some of these, we've seen some young guys come up, the Garrett Fergusons, the Drake Merles, those guys all dressing out early on Monday nights, and now you've seen them maybe not dressed on Monday nights because they're playing a lot of quarters on Friday. So,
exactly.
Switching gears here, looking a little bit at the Skyline defense. And you're going to have to correct me on this one, because I saw what I thought was a 5-man front, and then I saw a 3-man front, and it was kind of all over the place for me. But what I didn't see was a whole lot of push up front. But second level does a really good job of reading and reacting to the ball. That's typically where their good athletes will line up. And then their secondary looked, I guess, suspect at best, maybe. So tell us, what's the staff see, and how do the Wildcats look to attack the defense?
Yeah, I think their scheme is 3-4, and then you can bring in some guys on the edge, and depending on who they're playing, even bring another guy into the box. And so we told our guys that you've seen it all this year. You've seen teams that have ran this and then come out and run a 5-2 against us. And so with that, it does all start up front, and they've seen some good competition and seen some big boys up front. And so that's always tough. The linebackers do a good job. I think their perimeter guys do a good job of trying to funnel it into those backers. And then with their secondary, again, I always say if it's over 3 to 4 seconds, you're really putting some stress on the secondary. And so some of those plays that you're seeing where maybe they get exposed a little bit, that's kind of a long play and things like that. But again, we've been able to watch enough film on them to see where they have improved, and they've had some guys step up through the season, and they do. I mean, they graduated a lot last year, but they still have a lot of guys on there with a lot of experience, and like we keep mentioning, with something to prove and nothing to lose.
Right. All right, so looking forward to Warsaw taking on Skyline for Senior Night 2023. That's this Friday night out at Rainy Memorial Field. That kickoff set for 7 p.m. We'll be right back to wrap things up after this.
Hawthorne Bank supports our community. We also support our schools, kindergarten through 12th grade. Today I'm here with my friends, Coach Burdick with the Warsaw Youth Football League, and Coach Boyer. He is the athletic director for the Warsaw schools. Coach Burdick, what do you do with the money that we use for sponsorship?
We use it to purchase gear and repair gear and to purchase new jerseys.
And Coach Boyer, we've worked together on a few things. What do we work together on?
We've worked on the sponsorship for our scoreboard. In addition to, we do our Warsaw basketball tournament and our Warsaw wrestling tournament.
And through sports, our young people will learn the basics of the sport. They also learn to keep good grades, and they also have learned to build good character. When you are a customer of Hawthorne Bank, you are also supporting your community and the high school. Come open your account today.
One, two, three.
Gotta love Warsaw!
We do.
Hawthorne Bank, member FDIC, and equal housing lender.
All right, and we're back here, week 8 of the Coaches Show, ready to wrap things up. Looking back at a busy week, another busy week for Warsaw High School Athletic Department and also the John Boys Middle School Athletic Department. But last Saturday, youth football. They played up at Sedalia. I think one team had a doubleheader, so I guess there would be 4 games total.
Yep.
I think they played each other too, and all kinds of stuff going on. But everybody's kind of wrapping up and kind of getting down to preparing for championships, I think now. But the youth, I believe you said maybe went 2-2.
Yeah, I think overall everybody.
So the 2 wins there for the youth guys, and then 3rd and 4th. I'm not for sure on that one.
They won, I think it was like 8-0. I know they were at Crest Ridge, I believe.
Yeah, I think they did play at Crest Ridge. 5th and 6th played Skyline, and I do know that they lost 13-6, but getting a lot better. I think it was a 7-6 game, really close. I think they had somebody stripped the ball from them or something at the very end of the game, and then that's how they ended up losing 13-6. But I think they got beat by Skyline earlier in the year, a little bit worse than that. So kind of things getting better as everybody's gearing up for their championship weekends here coming up. Also last Saturday, cross country ran at Butler, and then the JBMS, the volleyball teams. I think they wrapped their seasons up, if I remember,
Yep.
if I'm thinking here correctly. They had the John Boys Middle School tournament, and coincidentally, I believe the A team took first and the B team took second. So kind of sweeping their own tournament there, and I think that included teams like Smith Cotton and maybe a Sherwood team or an El Dorado team or something like that. I know 2 pools there, but either way, both the A and the B teams secured trophies at their own tournament. So congratulations to those girls. Then Monday night, junior varsity football, they played California at home, and I believe 30-14.
Yep.
They won, beat the Pintos. And then middle school football on Tuesday night, they lost at home to the Tigers, so they're looking for the varsity Wildcats to maybe do a little payback for them here coming up. And then varsity volleyball, they were at Sherwood. They lost, but the junior varsity team won. They improved to 16-3-1. So varsity volleyball trying to find their groove before the district games come up, but junior varsity, I guess they'll finish up. There's no districts for them, I guess, on the junior varsity side.
And they've actually, not to jump ahead of the week, because they have a tournament in Versailles on Saturday, and Versailles had a team drop out. So both our varsity and our JV are going to be able to play in that tournament Saturday.
Great, so going to get some experience there. So.
Yeah.
And then Wednesday, everybody was off, I think.
I think so.
So that's we always enjoy those nights. Thursday night, varsity and JV volleyball, that was at home against El Dorado Springs. And then, of course, Friday night football versus Skyline, that's at home. Senior night 2023 out at Randy Morrow Field. Saturday, flag football travels back to Sedalia. Youth football, I failed to get a report. I don't know where they're going, and I don't know who they're playing. So I'll call Drew out. Drew, you didn't text me back. You got to do that. Then cross country, I believe, jumping back to Tuesday or Wednesday, I think they ran a conference meet this week.
Yeah, they're off. Yeah, they're off this weekend at conference, and then they go to El Dorado this Tuesday.
Good. So, and then like you mentioned, the volleyball teams, varsity, going over to Versailles to play in a tournament over there, and then the JV team also going to join them. So a lot of things going on tonight. Always is. It's not maybe not quite as hectic as homecoming, but it's senior night 2023. Maybe it's a little bit more hectic for you being the head football coach, and you've got a graduating senior this year too. So a lot of things going on. I think senior night is going to happen prior to.
Yep, we'll start introductions at 6:30. To any senior parent whose child maybe hasn't communicated, all parents need to be there.
You telling me that happens?
Every now and then, every now and then. But parents need to be lined up at the entrance by 6:20. We'll direct them from there. But yeah, in that 6:30 to 6:40 window is when we do all the introductions and again honor cheer, dance, band, cross country, color guard, and football. And so it's a neat deal. Again, we kind of do things throughout the week. We just call it Senior Week. But again, a great way to honor these young adults, and just look forward to it.
Yeah, and everybody looks forward to that one because you've got a lot of players and runners and band members and everybody else that's involved there. But a lot of these student athletes, and they have given 4 years to their programs.
Yeah.
And so it's a really nice way for the fan base to come out and say thank you for their participation and the enjoyment and the memories that they've given them over those 4 years. So everything else that's going on tonight, Quarterback Club, I know there's a tailgate.
Yes, Golden Valley will have this our last regular season home game. We don't do the tailgates during playoffs, but they have the Quarterback Club tonight. And, we appreciate them, appreciate everybody that's done it. I know it's always a huge success.
Yeah, and I think Golden Valley always brings down a big spread. So I think that's one that people do look forward to. So get out there. If you're a member of the Quarterback Club, I believe they're down in the cafeteria from 5:30 to 7 or 5:30 and 6:30, somewhere in there. But and then there's more food going on. I think Project Graduation's got it.
Yep, they're doing a grab and go, kind of a chili supper, and that's kind of right there beside that loading dock as you're walking up. And that's one thing we want to make sure Quarterback Club members, and that is two separate deals. We didn't want anybody getting confused.
If you're a member of the Quarterback Club, the dinner's free.
Yeah.
If you're not, you got to go over and support Project Grad.
Exactly.
And if you're hungry, you can do both.
Yeah. As I say, we're not stopping you from doing both, but just try to eliminate a little bit of confusion there.
Right. So Senior Night, we've got tailgates and Project Graduation dinners and stuff like that. Anything else that the crowd needs to know before they come out?
And we will, and this is my own fault, we will auction off the signed helmet and football at the Booster Club trailer. And that was supposed to happen at homecoming, and there that thing sat on my desk. So we will get that out there and again auction that off. Silent auction going on. I think they'll announce the winner probably into the third quarter.
So there might be folks at home thinking, dang it, I didn't win. But now they've got it kind of like a second opportunity.
Second chance.
So, and that's silent auction or raffle?
Silent auction. Yep, they'll have the sheet right there, and like I said, you can sign it, jack your bids up until about, like I said,
get over there and you can run your buddies' bids up too. I think you go over there and kind of bid them up, make them go back and spend some more money. All of those proceeds going to the Quarterback Club, of course. So it's the Wildcats back at home this week. They're going to take on the Skyline Tigers, and that kickoff set for 7 p.m. out at Randy Maurer Field on the WH Complex. So we look forward to seeing you out there for Senior Night, honoring those 2023 graduates. But as a reminder, if you can't make it out to the game, you can also watch all Wildcat football games live on BCE TV. And that's with Matt Dove and Drew Burdick. They're always looking forward to bringing you the game live to your living room. So, Coach, folks, thanks for clicking in today. Coach, thanks for joining us. I'm Adam Howe, and we're going to the house.
This has been a BCE TV production. Thank you for watching.